Good morning, everybody. I want to ask, do you know why that Jesus Christ is the only way to have a restored relationship to God? There's no other way. There's no other religion. Jesus Christ is the only way. And that's what we're going to look at right after this. Welcome back. Let's continue reading in our study of the book of Romans. And we're going to talk about why Jesus is the only way to have the restored relationship with God. That'll be our topic for today. So for our opening verses, let's look at Romans chapter 5. And we're going to read verse 12 and verse 15 for our text today. Verse 12 says, "Therefore, just as through one man sin entered the world, and death through sin, and thus death spread to all men, because all have sinned." And then verse 15 says, "But the free gift is not like the offense. For if by one man's offense many died, much more the grace of God and the gift by the grace of the one man, Jesus Christ, abounded to many." So, as we consider these verses, there's one thing that Adam brought to the world that we all deal with today. It says in the Bible that death reigned from the time of Adam. This death is not how it was intended to be in the beginning. But we know from Genesis that Adam and Eve committed rebellion, committed sin against God in the garden when they ate from the tree that they were told not to eat from. They were deceived by Satan and ate from that tree. And because of that sin, Adam and Eve were removed from the Garden of Eden, the paradise that God made for mankind. They were removed from that place and were not able to enter in. So because of that, they had to toil and work. And this is the things that we deal with today. The miseries that we deal with on earth today are a result of the fall of man. Our great-great-great-grandfather Adam back in the garden. That's the reason that we face things that we do today, like sickness, death. This is never how God intended it to be in the beginning. And it's like that because of the rebellious nature of man and the separation from God, us no longer having a place in the garden. So we may ask, why does that affect all of us today? Well, through Adam was Adam was very much like we are. There's a nature within us where we want to do what we want to do, whether sometimes it might not be the right thing to do or not. Kind of a rebellious nature. And Adam did that, and because of his offense, it fell to all of us. Basically, the whole family was punished. From that point forward, mankind had no place in that garden, the garden of God, because of Adam and Eve's disobedience to God. We no longer had a place in the garden. So the whole family is punished through one man and his rebellion. The whole family was punished. Think of it like this. If a family, let's say a father was on a piece of property and he did something wrong and he was evicted and kicked off of that property, no longer having a right to it, that would affect the family also and the generations down the line. This is basically the same kind of thing that happened. So because of the sins of Adam, many people were made sinners. Many people bore a consequence for what he did, because in our heart, we're all the same way. There's things we want to do that are not the right thing to do, but we want to do it because we want. Well, we know that later on came the law. And what was the purpose of the law? The law that came through Moses was a set of rules of things that we should not do. But when we look at the children of Israel, they could not even keep the law themselves. They rebelled against God. They did what they weren't supposed to do. So the law did not provide justification or show someone to be innocent. The law showed that all mankind was guilty, which goes back to the same thing that Adam brought to us and showed us too. And from the time of Adam all the way up until today, people have a rebellious nature. And so when we consider what Jesus did, unlike, somewhat like what came through Adam, but much unlike what came through him, through Jesus came something different. Death came through Adam, but Christ brought something good for us all. And, you know, you may have thought previously, why would the whole family suffer because of Adam's and Eve's unrighteousness? Well, it's because God is a righteous judge. He does what's right in the eyes of people. And because he is a righteous judge, he made a way. And let's look at what the way that he made. Verse 15 of this chapter 5 tells us that the free gift is not like the offense. So God has provided a way. He's provided a gift for us to have a restored relationship with him. He sent his son to pay the penalty for what we did, for all of humanity. Jesus was the only one who came to earth, lived a perfect and sinless life, but yet chose to bear the punishment for all of mankind so that mankind could have a restored relationship with God. So he took our guilt that we might take on his innocence. Verse 16 says, the free gift which came from many offenses resulted in justification. That free gift is Christ dying on the cross and shedding his blood in our place. So what does that do for us? So previously we were part of Adam's family and we were bearing a consequence of that sin of Adam and Eve. But when we take and make Jesus Christ the Lord of our life, we make him the master and we serve him, then we're part of a new family. We're not part of this family that we used to belong to. We're part of a new family. Verse 17 says that much more those who receive an abundance of grace. Some people may say that, well, I'm not perfect, but I'm not as bad as that person over there. Well, we're all guilty. If we've broken the law in one respect, we've broken it in all. There's none righteous, not one. There's nobody deserving of what God has provided for us. We can't justify ourselves, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But Jesus, he paid the price. And if we call him Lord and let him reign and rule in our life, then we are part of that new family. We are no longer part of the family of Adam to receive the inheritance of punishment that he received. We've got an inheritance from God. We are heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ, the Bible tells us. And because of one man's obedience, Jesus' obedience to the Father, to come to earth, live it like we live. Jesus has experienced what we experience, and yet he paid the price and died in our place. And because of that, we can be adopted to a new family. And no matter what we've done wrong, whatever anybody's done wrong, there's an abundance of grace that God has provided. That however much we need, somebody might say, this person is so bad, I don't see how they could ever make it to heaven. Well, thanks be to God, there's enough grace for anybody who wants to come to him and be adopted into that new family. Now, here's why Jesus is the only way. When we look at other religions, and I'm not going to name the list of them, but because it would only cause division, possibly. But all other religions require some form of self-justification. You have to work your way there. You have to be good enough. You have to do something, certain things. It's dependent upon us. Well, God says in the Bible that there's none righteous, no, not one. So all of us deserve the penalty of death. But thanks be to God, he has made a way, and it's through his Son, Jesus Christ. No other religion offers this. It all requires, other religions depend on self-justification. But with us, we don't have to be justified ourselves. We ask forgiveness from God. We make Jesus Christ the Lord of our life. And that's all that we have to do, is make him Lord, live for him. Are we perfect? No, we're not perfect. But do we live for him? And if we do, that's all we have to do. Jesus is the only way. God is a righteous God. He's a righteous judge. He provided a way of acquittal. He provided a way for us to be called innocent. The question is, will we accept the gift that he's provided? And Jesus Christ is the only way. So with that, we'll see you next time.